Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today is 15th of October 2019. It's a Tuesday. I'm going to recite, inshallah, from verse number 18 from Surah Al-Hashr. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العظيم. That ends the Surah Al-Hashr, and these are very great verses, and one needs to really stop and think about those verses. So here is what comes to my mind on some of the topics covered in those verses. The first thing in verse 18 is ittaqullah, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the taqwa of Allah, which is a panacea, I would say. It solves so many problems in this world before the akhirah. The greatest achievement of taqwa is that you gain the Jannah. The reward of muttaqeen, those who observe Allah and have this taqwa, they get the Jannah, and that's the utmost goal of any one of us. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. Whoever was lucky enough to stay away from hellfire and was admitted to Jannah, then he is the victorious. فَقَدْ فَازَ. So that's the real definition of success for those who try to get left and right in libraries and get these best-selling books on how to gain success and this and that. Okay? Here is one verse that summarizes what's the success here, and the key to that is really the taqwa. And the taqwa of Allah is really to observe Allah in every step. To observe Allah in every step. And that really needs to, this can grow really from observing the attributes and qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is Sami', He hears, He is Basir, He sees, and He knows everything. And that's why we'll see in a short while the verses that really describes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa Allahu alladhi la ilaha illa hu. Because through this observance and knowing, the more you know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you have the taqwa. The more you have the taqwa. So really we need to enjoy, we need to read more and more and enjoy those ayat that describes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you gain love and fear of Allah at the same time. And that's the haqiqah of ibadah. And what comes to complete this whole picture is the akhirah, the world hereafter, where everybody is held accountable. So this world is an exam hall. It's a place of exam, and the exam is timed. And the difference between our worldly exam that we do in our schools and colleges and this big exam of our life is that the exam in your schools, you know the timing, that you still have half an hour, so you organize yourself accordingly. But in this world, you never know when the angel of death will come, so you better be prepared all the time. You better be prepared all the time. And after death there is a resurrection, and then the results and reward and punishment. So all these things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing His asma and His sifat, His attributes, His qualities, and you know about the akhirah, what is going on in akhirah, and there will be reward and punishment. All this together completes a picture that makes a person really a gentleman, a civilized person who cultivates this world and works for the akhirah in a balanced way. And really, the quote of Umar bin Khattab is very much relevant here. Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasabu. I mean, hold yourself accountable and start doing the accountings on yourself on a daily basis before that is done by Allah on the day of judgment. So one has to be self-regulating, this self-evaluation thing, this self-evaluation. Before a time when you don't have that opportunity of self-evaluation and going into a feedback loop and improving yourself, that's the death. When you are when a person is death reaches his time, end of his life, he's never returned back for 1 second that you can rectify yourself. And the same thing happens on the day of judgment. There will be lots of appeal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that give me a second chance, give me a second chance, but it will not be granted. So these are all facts that we know, but I think what happened is that the shaitan and the indulgence with the micro events of our life makes us forget, and hence it's very important that we all remind ourselves of these things. And the Quran is the best text to remind yourself once you read it with thinking. And that's why Allah mentioned about the Quran immediately. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. If this Quran was revealed on a mountain, which is a huge mountain, and the mountain cannot be shaken, it's very stubborn, it's very solid. The wind cannot move mountains. So that huge, giant, solid structure would start to tremble if the Quran was revealed on it, and it started to understand the contents of the Quran and the huge responsibility of the Quran and the beauty of the Quran. It will not be able to stand still. That giant structure will start to get soft and start to to fear, out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His words, because Quran is Allah's words. We appreciate sometimes the words and quotes of great science, great scientists, great authors, and we often decorate our offices, our cars with quotes from Einstein, from Plato, from Socrates, from this, from that, okay? Because we think that those people, they were genius, they have exposure to lots of life experiences, and they have eloquence in their sayings. So we often get amazed by their things. So this is the weak human being in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why don't we celebrate the quotes from Quran as we celebrate these quotes from scientists and scholars and philosophers? So let's celebrate the Quran. Let's celebrate the Quran and use our reason and intellect to think and analyze the Quran. Go beyond the just beauty and the music of the reciter, which we often do. We select recitation of a reciter that we like, and we just start to continue to listen. But we don't pause at the end of each verse, which is the essence of tadabbur. As I said sometimes earlier, is that the tadabbur has the key word of dubur, and the dubur means the end of anything is dubur. So tadabbur of Quran is that when you reach the end of a verse, stop and think about it. And continue this exercise until you get the art of tadabbur. And you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is developing this art in you, so that the tadabbur becomes a second nature of you. Start stopping and thinking, trying to link other verses, trying to link events in your personal life, try to link things you have read in other books that confirms or contradicts. So this is a huge subject really of intellectual activity. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, that this verse is ended with. وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, so that they start to think. And then this surah ends with these amazing verses that we often recite, that describes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a number of his characters and sifat and attributes, and really the world of asma'ullah wa sifatih, Allah's beautiful names and his beautiful attributes. That world is a world by itself that we often really don't pay that much attention or give it its due attention. The huge world of the scattered Allah's attributes and name that is there in the Quran, and relating it to the ayat. So you'll find so many ayat that ends with some attributes of Allah. An ayah ending with Ghafurur Rahim, an ayah is ending with Azizun Hakim. So the attributes, Ghafur is an attribute, but when you add to that attribute or character Rahim, that adds another thing. Aziz is an attribute, but when you add to it Al-Hakim, that completes the picture. And then you ask yourself, why this ayah ended with Azizun Hakim and not Sami'un Basir, for example? The appropriateness of these asma and sifat in these particular places in the Quran is itself an intellectual activity, an exercise that is often worth that we spend our time there. So Allah is described here, Huwa Allahu alladhi la ilaha illa hu. No true ilah is there because the word Allah is derived from ilah, and that's why la ilaha illallah is the best of the word, because that describes the very meaning of Allah. And then it comes the other attributes subsequent to that, Rahman and Rahim being one of the leading ones that we use in the word Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. But Allah is further described with La ilaha illahu. That's the best definition of Allah, is that He is in ilah, and He is the ilah. That's why al-ilah. Al-ilah means the ilah, and that's been made easy for the tongue. Instead of saying al-ilah every time, al-ilah, you say Allah, to make it even easier to pronounce. And that's actually the Allah. And the ilah really has that meaning that is attributed solely to the heart. So Allah really starts in the heart and mind, and then it has its ramification on your behavior, on your characters, on the outside world. But it's something that starts really from your intellect, your mind, your emotion. So it's a combination of heart and mind, ilah, where you fly to it in love. It's kind of a magnet that you rush to it, and it's like the oxygen that you cannot live without. It's like the water for fish, and that is the biggest need for human being, is to cling to an ilah, to cling and attach itself to an ilah, because by nature we are faqir, we are weak, we are poor, we are ignorant, so we need a shelter. We need to attach ourselves to a deity, and this is an inbuilt requirement for any human being, and for that matter any living thing. It's an inbuilt requirement. So all living things except man and jinn, they have been designed to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and satisfy that need that they have, and hence they survive. Otherwise they would have collapsed. Okay. But for jinn and mankind, they are given this big game called this world, this puzzle of this world, and hence the testing. So they have given a choice. They have given a choice and a free will. And here comes the danger that many people, many human beings throughout the history, they have felt that need of attaching to a deity, but they mistook. They committed this mistake of finding some other big things and attaching to it. They see the sun and they are amazed by its glory. They cannot even look into the sun through the naked eyes. So they say that, okay, let me attach myself. I am a weak person, let me attach myself to this sun. But alas, the sun doesn't last forever. Then comes the moon. They attach themselves to moon. They see this, they see that, they see a snake, maybe they get afraid of it and start worshipping it. Okay? So throughout the history it happens that humankind, they don't, if it is left only to their reason and ration, many of them will not be able to find the true ilah, and hence the sending of messengers to all communities to tell them that no, this is mistake, it's not the sun, it is Allah. And they describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and immediately they see that, yeah, He is the creator of the sun, He is the creator of me, and anything has to have a creator, and they feel it in their heart and they start to worship the real Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allahu la ilaha illahu, there is no true ilah except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All other ilahs, it has faults and shortcomings and cannot hear you. Even if they hear, they cannot respond to all your calls. And Allah alone, He has the exposure and knowledge of everything, the world of unseen and the world of seen. Alimul ghaibi wa shahada. And He is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He is the King, Al-Malik. Everybody glorifies Him. And He is the peace. And from Him all the peace comes. As-Salam. He is the one, He gives security. He is the one who gives security. He accepts the tawbah of whoever wants to repent and come back to Allah. And He is capturing everything. Everything is under Allah's control. And He is the creator from nothing and without a previous template. He started to create things. Al-Bari. And He gives the appropriate shape for everyone that He needs. And He gives them the means to survive. He gave the animals the means to survive. He gave birds the means to fly, the fish the means to extract oxygen from the water, human beings the means to extract oxygen from air. All these amazing things really is a subject that we need to spend time and look and relate it to the world around us, and more importantly to ourselves. When you read Ar-Razzaq, Allah is the one who gives provision. You start to reflect within yourself how that is possible, how Allah has made situation. You can start connecting dots and relate it to your own life, that how Allah managed you to get education, to get employment, to be able to earn money and feed your children and wife, how you were once poor and now you became rich. Behind them you'll find that there has been the hidden hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not the hidden hand of the market necessarily. So coming close to Allah with Asma and Sifat is something that I cannot stress any further. It's really something amazing, and it's a degree that is above the physical world, above observing Allah through the physical world. That is the world of observing Allah through His Asma and Sifat. It's higher in rank than observing Allah through the nature. So let me move to the next surah, which is Surah Al-Mumtahana. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Or maybe I will delay Surah Mumtahana in some other incidences because I don't have much time. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.